Good morning. Hope your week has started off well, and we hope that you will enjoy our show and it will become even better. I am Jenny Remsberg here with my friend Chrys Howard, and we are thrilled to have a guest today that I'm telling y'all, she's a friend of Chris's, and I have not gotten to meet her until this morning, so I'm excited to get to know her right along with you guys. Chrys?
You want me to introduce her now? I mean, we're jumping right in there.
So she can jump in with us when, when we're
well,
visiting.
I'll say hello to everybody, too.
Okay.
Glad everybody's here with us today. It's a mom thing, and it's Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And so if you've never heard our show and you're like, okay, wait a minute ago I was listening to music, and now there's these two ladies rambling on. Okay, that would be us. It's a mom thing right here on 88.7, and we are so thankful for the opportunity that we have to share with you just things that are going on in our heart and our life. And this summer we have had a great series.
Yes.
We've called it. We've had two great series.
Yeah, we did.
It was a short summer. How did we manage that? We got two
Sister,
in.
we did Only by the Hand of God.
Only by
which
was our first series, and that's how we got it done. Only by the Hand of God.
That is true.
And then we did a call to action. We had some amazing people in our community who have risen to that call to action.
And you know what? We
Yes.
got some responses. I mean, we definitely got some people excited about that because we had
Good.
gotten I think it was on the Cross's Facebook page. Christine Olin posted about how she was in the car driving whenever she heard one of the shows, our show with Dan Lane, the assistant principal at West Monroe High School, and how thrilled she was. And she just wanted to bring it back to everybody's attention that, you know, we ought to be so thankful for the Christian educators that are in our area, because there are so many that view their job and their position as a position of ministry. And she believes that God has called her to be at home praying this fall. And you can go on the Cross's Facebook page and look up her post, because she wants anybody that's got a name or a need to put it there so that she can be praying. And anyone that wants to join her, you can contact the Facebook page on the Cross. So it was really exciting. That was just one.
I mean, she just felt that call to action right there, like we were saying through this last time with our series. And school has started. Most everybody's had their kids in school now. I think even the college kids are all off and gone and running. And I mean, for me, this beginning of this school year was different because so many of my grandkids, well, I only have one now over in the elementary wing.
Oh, wow.
So I have joked for years that, I've always worked with the young people. I've always worked at camp and always had the teenagers, and I've been working on growing my own youth group, and now I have done that.
You have.
I have my own youth group here.
And with all the others that you've adopted, like my kids and everybody else's, to Mama's house, is the place for everybody to hang out.
It's a fun thing, that's for sure.
Great time for you to introduce our guest, because her daughter's now one of your own.
She is. We have a special guest, and it really goes, we really didn't know we were going to have her. Y'all were just so excited that she happens to be here.
Because she's visiting with you.
Because she's visiting at our home. And so we said, well, since you're visiting, why don't you just come on and be on the radio? And she said, okay, I'll do that. And she's here. And her name is Victoria Koloff. And Victoria lives in Nashville, and she has lots of things going on. And her sweet daughter attended Camp Chioka this summer and enjoyed it so much that she's moved in with us.
For her senior year.
That's
pretty impressive.
And going to go to Ouachita Christian with
she's actually
my
going there already.
She's already there.
Yeah.
Yes. But going to continue her senior year, let me say that.
That's amazing.
I know, it's amazing. So Victoria, welcome to Monroe, West Monroe. It's a mom thing.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for taking my child.
Well, it's been fun so far. Hopefully we'll do okay.
I mean, I never thought when I sent Colby to Camp Chioka this summer that a few months later she'd be begging me to live here and stay. So there's something about your city that
that's strange.
Everyone comes here and they don't want to leave.
That is so strange. How fun is that? Well, she's adorable, and we're having a great time with her. And she went with us on our mission trip this summer to the Dominican, and just had a great time.
It's funny. I got to mention about the Dominican Republic when you guys were in Atlanta, and I was on the phone with Corey, I think, first, and she was just telling me after the week how well Colby did, and she said you just should have seen her, and she was translating. She was our translator and teaching them English to Spanish, Spanish to English scripture. And I said to Corey, Colby doesn't speak Spanish. And she said, yes, she does. Yeah. And so I knew Colby had first 1 year and 2 years of Spanish in high school. So when she came home, I said, Colby, were you speaking Spanish in the Dominican Republic? She goes, Mommy, I'm telling you, the Lord just brought everything I've learned, and it was just flowing.
Oh,
She-
wow.
no, she
How
really-
exciting.
I
She
know.
really was remarkable. And I told her, I think it's because she looks a little bit like Dora the Explorer.
Oh, gosh.
She's got that dark hair and everything. And
She does not like that, by the
I
way.
know she doesn't, but she has that voice, and she did that at camp this summer. You know,
Oh, she did the Dora
she did.
Aw.
She did at camp. They used her in a little
She won't do
skit
it for me.
and so we were like,
Your mom.
She does a great Sarah Palin.
We just thought she actually could speak Spanish. So I guess it's one of those things. If you just say you can do it, and then she did it.
I'm telling you, the Holy Spirit did it because
did great.
she and my background. Well, my mother's Panamanian, so my mom's full-blooded Spanish, Panamanian.
see
They all
there?
come from Panama. My grandmother's this 4'8", 9" little Panamanian woman, 87 years old, still lives alone. Just stopped
Wow.
driving her car in the last few months because she drove to Walmart and forgot where she was. So we thought it's time for you
Hey,
to take the
I've
keys
done
away.
that a few times.
It's time to take the keys away, Granny. So I know that Granny's going to be so excited
Oh,
when
wow.
I tell her what her little great granddaughter did, and Colby's one of her favorites. When
Well,
she finds out.
she was amazing, and she did have that. I happened to bring a Spanish English dictionary, thinking that it would be useful for me, but it was so not useful for me because I can't even read the words. So Colby took that, and she would work with those kids with their scriptures.
Oh,
It's
I'm
great.
so proud of her. She's just an amazing young
She
woman.
is.
I am blessed.
She has a
So
lot of fun. So anyway, she's here with us now, and then Victoria is going to be in and out this school year, of course, wanting to be here as much as she can for Colby. And so tell us a little bit, tell our viewers out there who you are.
Who am
Who
I?
am I?
I am a daughter of the King.
Amen.
There you
Number
go.
one. That's who I am. And I know that my identity is in Christ. And that's what my prayer is for all my daughters. I have 4. My oldest daughter's 31. She's the only one of my little group that's married. She's been married 7 years and has given me a granddaughter 4 years ago. So that little girl has me wrapped around her finger. My second daughter, Tawny, is 28. She's a nurse working right now with brain injury patients. My third daughter is 21, Kendra, and she's in college at UNC in North Carolina in her senior year of college. And then my youngest, of course, is Colby. My dog's name is Gabby, who is also a girl.
Well, there you go.
I am a divorced, single Christian woman. Yes, there are those of us that are out here, and God still uses us to build the kingdom.
Absolutely.
And He has just redeemed my life and uses me in the pregnancy center ministries
Right.
I've been involved with for about 19 years now. I am a post-abortive woman. So the Lord took me to a pregnancy center to find healing for myself, started out as a volunteer, and now here I am many years later as the executive director of 2 pregnancy centers in the
Wow.
Nashville area.
Wow.
So
and now you are in Nashville now, but you weren't always there, right?
No, I was in North Carolina running a pregnancy center there, and then went to Tucson, Arizona, and took over a $3.5 million grant that was for abstinence education in the schools there in Tucson. And we saw about 85,000 students a year.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And then our funding was taken from us few years ago during one of the administrations. And
That's all you're going to say about
that's
that?
all I'm going to say
Okay.
about that. And so we ended up, I'm never going to give up abstinence education, which now I've just changed the terminology. We're calling it healthy choices curriculum because unfortunately the abstinence word has gotten a bad taste
Right.
in its mouth for
Okay.
people. So we kind of changed it, but we can get into that a little bit later.
Okay, so from there now,
Got involved, as I said, with pregnancy center work, and then the Lord just continued to build on that. I became
Wow.
the abstinence education director, and then I was the fundraising director, the public relations director. I was every director you can think of, and then finally they said, would you be our executive director? And so my heart has always been for pregnancy centers because of my own background being post-abortive, and pregnancy centers are instrumental in helping women deal with
Right.
that heartache and that they need that healing, the healing. God forgives for all sins, including abortion. And women need to know that help's available. And I know you have a local pregnancy center
Right.
here
We do.
called Life Choices. I
Right,
think.
right. Lindsay
And,
Sykes is she
and
would
I-
have loved to have met her.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure that they have post-abortion counseling. So my heart in ministry is as far as women's ministry goes, is the post-abortion ministry. And I do a program called Getting Free from Your Past and Getting Real with God. And I travel all over the country speaking at women's women's conferences and at churches, and I do a lot of fundraising for pregnancy centers at their banquets. And then, as I said, the abstinence message, because if we can teach kids they're worth waiting for, they won't end up at a pregnancy center in a crisis situation. So I want kids to understand that, they're more valuable than that. And kids really want us to tell them the truth.
Right.
It's not just the church kids, because church kids are out there being promiscuous as much as kids out that aren't in church, unfortunately, because I see them in my pregnancy centers, as well as I'm sure all across the country.
Right.
But kids need to know they're valuable, and they need to understand that, hey, God's got something better for you than that.
Right.
So I kind of changed the terminology, as I said earlier, to healthy choices because of the abstinence word. I don't want you teaching that. You can't come into our schools and teach that. We don't like that.
Right.
That's too preachy.
It can't be done.
Exactly. And they're going to do it anyway, which
Right.
is so not true. I tell parents when they say to me, I don't want to talk to my kids about that, Victoria, because then they'll think it's okay. And I say, really? So if they play out in the street, do you stop them? If they're putting their hand on a hot oven, do you stop them? Don't you teach them? Don't do that. You can get hurt.
Right.
We've got to be talking about this with our kids, because if we don't, their friends are going to be talking about it, and their peers, and they're giving them wrong information.
Exactly.
So I'm very passionate about the purity message.
Right.
And I'm very passionate about women knowing it doesn't matter where you've been or what you've done, whether it's an abortion, whether it's any kind of sin. God forgives all sin, and he can still use you. I'm a living testimony of it, and he's just looking for you to say, hey, I'm willing.
But I love that. I love that healthy choices, because that's the thing that we really have to get all of our kids to be aware of, that everything they do in life is a choice. And I say that to my grandkids all the time. You wake up every morning with lots of choices. It's just making the right choice.
Right.
And the right choice is what determines the next step.
Yes,
because you make the wrong, and it's not like we need to wake up and just be worried that I'm going to make everything right.
It's
That's
just
not the way it is.
just the next right choice.
It's just being aware that you have the choice to do the right thing or the choice to do the wrong thing.
And it isn't just about sex outside of marriage.
Right.
Healthy choices, what I cover in my seminars, is drugs and alcohol and tobacco use and gang activity, and even who you hang around with, because the five people you hang around the most is who you're going to end up like.
Right.
So kids need to understand that it's very important when they're picking their friends. There is no way, Jenny, that I would have sent my precious Colby here to live with the Howards if I didn't know these people.
Absolutely.
If I didn't know the people that are surrounding them, the Robertson kids, who Colby has gotten very close with, Sadie and John Luke and Cole and all the kids. I think they're amazing people.
Right. Even Uncle Si.
Even Uncle Si. I mean, so they're amazing people. There's just no way I'm going to just send her into the lion's den. So I feel very confident with who she's surrounded herself with.
And see, this is a great thing for you to say, too, because parents have to take steps like that. Be aware of who your kids are hanging around with. And do not be afraid to say, no, you're not hanging out with him. You're not going with him anywhere.
Absolutely.
You're not, we've gotten where moms and dads out there, some are bullied by their kids.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh,
and
definitely.
we've got to get out of that.
We don't need to be. I'm not popular with my kids. That's not what my job's to be their parent.
Hello.
And too many parents are trying to be their kids' friends.
Right.
No.
I am friends with my 31 and 28-year-old.
Right.
My 21-year-old. We are developing a different relationship now because
But
they're
they still-
adults.
I'm sure they still trust you to be their mother.
They do, and they respect me, and they know
Yeah.
they don't cross a line,
That's
and they
right.
come to me for advice. And
Because they need it.
Exactly. I'm always going to be there for them. But I'm Colby's mom. And I got to say this, Chrys, although I love Duck Dynasty, and I do, and everybody does. I mean, who has something bad to say about that? Sit down and be quiet, because there's nothing bad to say about that show. But that had no bearing on my decision about Colby.
Right.
My decision about Colby being here was based on you guys and your family. And
Thank you.
that you're real people. It had nothing to do with celebrities.
And of course, we don't even think about that celebrity thing either. And this is a great time to bring in that Victoria and Colby are also part of a reality show called Preacher's Daughters. And now I have not seen the show, but when Victoria contacted me in the spring about Colby coming to camp, I did go online and do some homework about that, because we are like she is. We didn't want to bring somebody in that we were not sure about. And she, I'll let you say some more about your show, Victoria.
I haven't seen the show either. So I got to watch, like I said, I haven't seen the show, but I got to watch the Jeff
Jeff Probst show.
Thank you, Probst. I was like, why am I not getting that name? The Jeff Probst show. One day I was like folding laundry and I turned the TV on and I was like, this is Victoria, because I just sat right with you at the table at Sadie's birthday.
Oh, okay.
But y'all were all visiting, and then there was so
In
much
other
going
words,
on.
you ignored Jenny at that
Oh,
point.
That is
Jenny.
not what I said.
Did you say that?
She did not.
Did
say
you
that.
hear that?
I
She did
repeat
not
that
say that.
gossip.
Did you hear that?
In the name of Jesus.
That's right.
Y'all were
No.
at the very same table and walked away. And
Well,
didn't
Chris
even
goes, I
speak.
really want you to meet her. And Ashley goes, I really want you to meet her. Then Ashley and she had their heads together. And I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah, we
this
did.
is good. Victoria and Ashley have a minute.
Yeah.
Well, then there was so much going on, so I jumped up to go watch something else. And then there was just
It was
so much
meant
going
to
on.
be so we'd have something
Right
to
now.
talk about
There
today.
you go. So
Sister, I have a feeling we'll never be without something to talk
I
about.
do too.
So anyway, I sat down. It was right after that it came on. Loved the heart. I'm glad I saw that first, because sometimes, as we know,
Right.
a reality show can set a spin on things just for sensationalism or whatever.
Right.
But I got to so hear the heart, because I don't know your ex-husband's name or whatever. Nick. But he was on the show with y'all.
He was.
Right.
And y'all talked about and your daughter, Colby, talked about what God's done in her life. I mean, it was so obvious,
Yeah.
so precious through that show. It's really brought together some great family. Anyway, through the doing of that show. But anyway, I got to see that. So now you can tell us about.
It was a great experience doing that show, and we've done many more. I mean, The View had one of our families on Preacher's Daughters. It's been crazy, the stuff that's
So
happened.
kind of explain to our audience, because I haven't seen it.
What
but from
it's
what I
about.
understand, there's 3 different families.
There are 3 families. We are the family that represent. I'm the divorced Christian woman who's in ministry,
Okay.
and unfortunately, sometimes when a woman goes through divorce, even their own churches will say,
Oh, yeah.
you need to
Right.
go somewhere else," and which shame on those churches.
Right.
So I represent the Christian woman who's divorced that is still in ministry, and another family is a pastor of a church in Chicago, and then there's another family that's a pastor of a church in California. Now, my ex-husband, my children's father, is an evangelist. So he's not a pastor of a church. He travels around and preaches the gospel. He is also is on the show, not as much. It's more with me and my girls. But the show is really about dispelling the myth that just because we're Christians doesn't mean we don't face challenges.
right.
And just because we're Christians doesn't mean we're perfect or we don't mess up. We serve a perfect God, but we are definitely not perfect. And so that's
it.
what we've been able to do on the show. And I have 4 daughters, as I've said, and they are all very different but the same. We are very, very close. One of our favorite things to do is have Sunday dinner together every week, which now, unfortunately, since Chris has stolen my Colby girl.
Sorry.
So much for that.
You've got a bit of a drive, but I'll try to cook for
There's
you.
FaceTime. Hey, there's FaceTime, because
Yes.
I have a daughter in Australia, and so
Oh,
we
you
FaceTime
do?
all the time.
Oh, yeah, I love FaceTime. Well, I'll just be bringing them all in the car here to Monroe.
There you go.
and
That's
I'll
right.
go.
There you go.
Put on the roast.
Yeah,
and come
we will.
on. Yeah.
So we are just, I think me and my girls are very unique. And I don't think we realized that until we did the show. And we've gotten bombarded with emails and messages from fans of the show saying, I wish I had a relationship like you do with your daughters. I wish I had a relationship like you do, Colby, with your mom. I wish I had sisters like you do. My sisters and I never talk. So it has made such a difference. And I have been so proud of the show. When the previews came out, I have been very vocal about how I felt about them on my blog, victoriakoloff.blogspot.com, and even to Lifetime and to our producers, Think Factory Media. And I said, what's up with that? That's not the kind of show that we made. And
So what was that? 'Cause
the
I haven't seen-
previews were very risque. And it made it sound more like it was going to be Church Girls Gone Wild.
Well, that's what on the Jeff Probst show they showed that, and it did look like
the
that.
one family. Well, she's probably a little bit wilder than any of the 3 girls, which is very evident. But even she has got such a heart for the Lord, and as you continue to watch the show unfold, you see how. Oh, she isn't that girl. Yeah, she does some teenage stuff.
Yeah, well-
but she's not a bad kid.
What they basically did was just allow the girls to say what every kid is going to think.
They did, exactly.
They just said, I feel squelched. Because being a preacher's kid, everybody's looking at you, whatever. And because of your platform, because of being on the show, everybody hears that but that's not unusual. It's
Right.
what you do with it.
What has ended and what has ended up in the show is our fan base has now grown from the people who saw the previews and thought, oh, good, another Church Girls Gone Wild. I love it.
Yeah,
then when they watched it going, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Some of them have probably said, I'm not watching that because that's not what they weren't ready for it. Some fans have watched and continued to watch and found the Lord because
Amen.
I've got the emails to prove it saying, I just accepted Christ because of your show and watching your family. And some have, now it's brought in the Christian conservatives watching it going, wait, this is not what we thought.
Right.
And so I'm really excited about season 2. And season 1 did very well. We had 1.3 million average viewers.
Wow.
And we were at the mall yesterday at Monroe Mall, and this little girl came up to me and she said, are you from Preacher's Daughters? And isn't that Colby? I said, yeah. And she said, we love you. Can I have my picture? It was just so precious. And her mom came over and her mom looked at me and said, you look so much better in person. I said, okay. Or you look
Thanks.
different. And I said, is that good or bad? She said, it's good. They make you look mean on the show. You're not mean. You look so innocent and nice. It's TV, people.
Yeah.
It's TV. Yeah. And so anyways, and I teach abstinence education, and I bring a bold, powerful message to teenagers across the country. I don't sugarcoat it.
Right.
It's got, that's how kids need to hear it.
Chrys was so funny. Before we got started, she goes, now, Victoria, remember, this is a family-friendly station. So
because I
be
have heard her
careful.
speak to
heard me
teenagers.
Right.
I've
She's
heard
nervous.
that. I've heard that bold message. I was like, okay, kids could be listening, so this may not be the place for that. But she does do that.
Kids are in school.
I was thinking, oh, that's true. That's true. Of course, I was thinking as Victoria said that about their viewers, 1.3
million viewers.
And how Duck Dynasty started out with something like that, and then of course their first show of season 4 had close to 12 million viewers. And a lot of it
Praise
was,
God.
and it was
Yeah.
that word of mouth that people are saying, this show is not what you think it is. And that, I believe, will happen to you guys, too. Of course, we didn't watch the first season, and we will be very eager to watch this upcoming season. It begins in November.
I believe it's going to be November or January. They're working on cutting it and getting it ready.
You've already filmed it, though.
We've already finished. And I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that. But, yes, we have. And so we will see when it comes out. I don't know. They haven't told me yet. They'll be telling me probably in the next month or so.
Now, have you met the other families?
Oh yeah, we all met. We did Jeff Probst's show together.
Together, okay.
And we met them there. We went there to do promos and really got to know them. And so what's interesting is we don't have the kind of we're not at the point yet where we can watch the episodes. I can't say send me all the episodes before you air them. So we every week are sitting in front of our TV going, oh my gosh, how are they going to cut this? Because look, you can edit anything.
That's right.
However you want.
Absolutely.
So we
Yes.
put a lot of trust in Think Factory Media, and we're trusting them. Now, they did a great job season 1, minus a couple things that I wasn't real happy about in the first episode. Other than that, I love the show. Very proud of it. So I'm excited to see how they're going to do future shows. But we'll sit and watch and see. So when we watched the episode after meeting the families and seeing some of the things with who you're talking about is Taylor,
It was just so good.
we were shocked.
Yeah.
And Colby actually cried because the tweeters, whatever it's called, the tweeting world.
Twitters. Yeah.
We trended on that night, our premiere episode.
And this is such a great show for It's a Mom thing because Victoria is a mom who has a public platform with her 4 daughters, and that there's lots of scary things about that. When you how we same as we do in our family with Duck Dynasty. Now you're out there.
Right.
In the public for all to see.
But from over here on this side, I was thinking about it before we came in this morning, how I love what God's doing with the huge explosion that's going on with Duck Dynasty.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Then here comes, I didn't really see it until Sadie's birthday.
Right.
And y'all coming into the picture, just like Sadie going with y'all on vacation and Scotty McCreery coming in, and how he said, it's just so great to meet other Christian kids who were in the limelight. Then you went out to LA,
right?
And Bella met the rapper because what's his name? Do you remember?
That's a good question right now.
Well, anyway, a great Christian family and how God is building up. It's just what His Word says.
I'm telling you, He's
going
getting
to
an
raise
army
them up.
ready.
He is.
He's getting, and I truly,
uniting them.
I truly believe, Jenny, that this whole, listen, my girls are the most important people and relationships in my life right now. I'm single, not even dating, not even interested. I'm dating Jesus. Okay.
There you go. Right
He's
here.
the one man who's never let me down.
Hello.
So
here.
I'm cool with him.
Should I leave the room?
And I am just very protective of my girls. And so I just see God in this whole thing. Sadie and Colby instantly. And Chrys had sent me an email saying that Sadie was so excited when she told Sadie that Colby was coming, because Sadie had been watching the show.
Yes.
And she said our family's her favorite family on the show and loved Colby and all of my girls. So she got really excited to know that Colby was coming. They have instantly bonded. And I don't think it's just about a lifelong friendship.
No.
It is about building the
Right.
kingdom.
It's a strategic plan of God.
There is no question.
No.
People have looked at me and said, how is this happening? And then when the kids, the fans, who they have a lot of the same fans watching Duck Dynasty, watching Preacher's Daughters,
Right.
that teenage, the ones watching John Luke, the guys and whatever, because we have guys watching Preacher's Daughters too.
Hello.
Whether they're watching them because they think all the girls are cute, I don't care. They're hearing the gospel. But the strategic plan I see God doing, there is no telling what he's going to use these kids to do to change their generation.
I will tell you,
right.
when we were working on that time you asked me to come out and help set up shots for Kay's book.
Right. Oh, yes.
Okay. Whenever you said, okay, this may not have been a good thing to bring you out here, because Phil and I got into that big
That's
discussion.
right.
That's what it was about.
Yes, I
Because he
brought
said-
Jenny out to help me set up some things when I was helping Kay write her cookbook. And I lost her totally. I'm doing all the setup by myself because she and Phil are in the corner just talking, which is a great thing.
Well-
she was in one of Phil taught school.
Yeah, I've
originally.
known them for almost 40
Yes.
years, and
Oh,
we don't
and-
have a lot of times our paths cross. And he
Right.
said, Jenny, over the years, throughout time, God has used so many different, unusual, weird things to start revivals.
Right.
Okay. What if he was setting up? I said, what if? He is.
He
I mean,
is,
you
yeah.
look
He's
at how he's
doing it.
building. I mean, around the world with all these, and I'm talking about just all the different relationships. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm back here, even though I'm on the fringes because of relationship to some degree. I'm looking at the big picture here going, wow.
I'm telling you.
Okay, God is doing a huge thing. And I mean, I'm like constantly looking for kingdom.
And I'm
feeling
telling
me?
you, Jenny, the fans see Colby and Sadie when they post pictures and they go crazy. Oh my gosh, my two favorite Christian girls on TV are friends.
Hello.
How did you two meet? How did this happen? People that know me. How are you guys friends with? I'm like, God.
It's bringing an
It's God.
authenticity.
It is, because
To the kingdom.
my staff at the pregnancy center, this is such a funny story, were for a year and a half, every time I'd come in every Thursday morning, I guess it'd be, they're talking about these Robertsons. I'm going, what are you guys talking about? You don't watch Duck Dynasty? I'm like, no, never heard of it. You've got to watch Duck Dynasty. I said, no, I don't. I'm not. I'm not an outdoor girl. I'm not interested. It's not like that, Victoria. And I just was not interested. So now my staff says, you didn't even want to watch Duck Dynasty, and now you're friends with Duck Dynasty.
Now you've let Colby move in with their family.
And I'm like, it's a God thing.
Totally.
It's a
Yes,
God
totally.
thing. It wasn't anything we searched out. You can't plan stuff
No.
like this.
No.
God
And I'll tell you
does
that
it.
one of the coolest things about all of this, and there's so many things, is everybody in this community is part of this action. Because
Absolutely.
we hear from so many of our fellow West Monroe people, when they go out, they are representing.
Yes.
And people are calling on them to be the kind of people that they want from the Robertsons.
Well,
to
and I mean,
be strong.
I told you,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the big picture. I mean,
Yeah.
just listening to the news, which I don't get to listen to news very much, but just hearing the other day them saying that in the state of Louisiana, where there's so much economic challenges, this area is thriving. Well,
Right.
wonder why? Because the great
that's right.
move into Duck Dynasty, people have now they've put it on the map to come in, and I mean, God's using them in so many ways, and I mean, not just them, you,
That's right.
Scotty McCreary's, the Christians that God
But
is
I think
raising up,
everybody
we
out
all-
there too.
That's what
Everybody
I'm
in our
saying.
community.
We all
Right.
have got to have a
We're all
mindset
a
to be
part
usable.
of you
That's
being
right.
used by the kingdom. It's just different. We all have pieces of
Absolutely.
the puzzle. And you know,
It's exciting.
that it is exciting. We are living in exciting times just to sit back. And I tell you, I'm like, Lord, you just send me where you want to
That's
send
it.
me.
Right.
I'm going to do what you want.
That's it.
I am humbled that you would choose somebody like me.
That's
I mean,
it.
I told Jenny just this morning, I can hardly go to sleep at night. It's like I'm waiting for a field trip. Like when you're in the 6th grade, like the next day you're going on a field trip.
And
because,
I've had that.
There's so
much
God is
going
doing
on.
so many great things.
I
I'm
have
just like, I
such
can't
a-
go to sleep. I want to know what the next thing is.
Well, I have such a sense of anticipation,
Right.
Like so
Oh, yeah.
much expectancy, and I have
Right.
had 6 months, a year. I mean, like, okay, what's happening? I keep
That's
thinking,
right.
did I miss something? Like, why am I so excited?
I got to tell you this funny story because you're talking about reaching the mass, and as we know, 12 million people.
Right.
When we were in Florida and Sadie was with us on our vacation over the summer, we go St. George Island every year. Sadie and Colby were on mopeds, and Sadie had a little
Yes.
accident.
Yes, we
And
were here when that happened.
Oh, and it was
Yes.
she was pretty banged up. Well, the guy that helped her before I could get there, they called me and stay calm, and we get there and everything. And so the guy that helps her before the ambulance was there, there were 2 gentlemen and a woman there. They were talking to her, trying to calm her down, and they said, "Now, where are you from, honey?" And she said, "West Monroe." And the guy goes, "Oh, well, now that's where the Duck Dynasty is, isn't it?" And he's talking to her, saying, "Those are nice people." She said, "Yes, sir, that's my family." He said, "Oh, I'm sure, that's nice." And she said, "No, sir, Willie Robertson's my dad." And he said, "What?" So even in Florida, we're over there in Florida, they're going, you say West Monroe,
I
and
know.
immediately
I know.
people are thinking Duck Dynasty.
I know.
So it's also a huge responsibility,
That's
Jenny.
right.
It's also a responsibility.
And that's
but
why
you
we
know
all
what?
have to pray for everybody.
We do.
right.
Just
We've
gotta
got
keep
to
each other
keep
lifted up.
and that's another reason why God's brought Chrys in my life
Mm-hmm.
and Sadie into Colby, so that they can be praying for one another and we can hold each other accountable
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and we can be there because we're still human beings
That's
that
right.
are
Yes.
living this life, and we're human.
And now our listening audience gets to jump on board.
Heck
Our
yeah.
listeners
Right.
get to jump on board. We already talked to them often about standing with the Robertson family and praying for every aspect of this, because it's not a cakewalk.
No.
I mean,
Not.
now,
Like Jason said, it's hard to hold hands with Hollywood. And that's
Oh, yeah.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
they are continually asking for prayers. And now we can ask our audience to pray for preacher's daughters.
That's right. for
Yes.
the
And
Koloff
everything
family.
you guys are involved in. And we are so honored that you've been able to be with us today and cannot believe our
Fun,
time.
fun,
I had a
fun.
blast. Thank
It's
you.
so
It was
fun.
awesome.
And yeah, next time you're down in the area to see your sweet daughter, you may have to jump in with us again.
Anytime.
We
So
love it.
it's time for us to
I
leave.
have a new friend.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yay.
Girl time.
We'll be back with you next week on Monday morning at 9:00. Do you have something else to say?
Well, I was just going to say we haven't been on here for a while, and we've got our 4 things that we always say at the end of every show.
We sure do.
You know, to speak life over our children,
And thank God that you are the mom of your family.
speak those words that draw them closer to God every day.
And remember to be consistent in all you do. Kids thrive on consistency.
But consistency, obviously, as you've heard a little bit of today, consistency does not mean boring.
No.
So have fun with your kids.
We'll see you next week.